One chance, one life, one take. Little room for mistake. Who do you
Hello and welcome to the Dead Funny, Dead Serious podcast. This is the new series of end-of-life professionals. If you were tuned into the last series, which was 30 end-of-life doulas in 30 days, I have no number and no timeline on this new series. So welcome. We keep going. It's just so interesting. I get to meet very cool people like Kate Manser, and her project is You Might Die Tomorrow. Hi, Kate.
Hello, and happy today.
Yay. So excited.
Finally, we get to connect.
Right. Yeah. Kate and I have been following each other for quite a while, and this is our first time meeting. But I just let's get going and share what it is you do. I have a feeling that the first two questions are kind of what do you do and why did you start doing it? I have a feeling they're going to blend together. So
well, number one, I'm trying to enjoy my life every single day that I'm alive, right? Like I never thought about death until I had to think about death. And I had an awakening back in 2015 where I had 3 friends of mine die in the span of 6 months and just in unrelated events. And that caused me to sink into, I think, something that we both experienced, which is deep death anxiety, where I couldn't sleep. I was afraid to drive my car. Every time the phone rang, I thought I was going to jump out of my skin because it, of course, was another one of those calls. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I spent a year like that. And I had other factors going on in my life. I was in an unhappy marriage at the time. So it was just a heavy time in my life, but death anxiety was for sure the main weight that was on my shoulders. And counterintuitively, what popped me out of death anxiety and created this awakening for me was a 4th friend of mine died. He was climbing Mount Everest when the Nepal earthquake struck in 2015. And he was a guy that I followed and had a crush on and was just like this adventure spirit animal for me. I mean, he was climbing Mount Everest, for gosh sakes, right? And he dated a celebrity and worked with me at Google, except was way higher ranking and had a way cooler job than me. And he was just someone that I really looked up to. And so then when he died, at first, of course, I was really angry. Like, why climb Mount Everest? You know, here I am in death anxiety. I'm barely leaving my house. And here he is climbing Mount Everest. And I was so angry because he was really a light in my life. But then that's when I had this realization where I was like, he had to climb Mount Everest. And he knew that he could die, right? It's not something that you do on an average Saturday. There's tons of planning, training that goes into it. And so that's when I looked at Dan's choice to climb Mount Everest, this huge risk, and to live his truth at the expense of his very life, compared to me afraid to like walk across the street. And that's when I realized that humans, we have finite resources, and our primary resources are time and energy. And you could also argue our health. Right. And if we have these limited resources, we can spend them on being afraid of death and hiding in our houses and not driving the car and being scared all the time, trying not to die. Or we can expend them living our most vibrant life while we're still alive. And so that was the moment that I decided to take my resources away from death anxiety and put them towards living while I'm still alive. Because let's be real, I'm extremely klutzy. I will probably die like falling down the stairs or something. So I might as well just like not even fear it.
Really poignant explanation. I appreciate that. You know, talking about death anxiety, it's something so prevalent in our society, and we don't talk about it, right? We've done so many studies, and across the board, there's just so many forms of death anxiety. People are afraid of all these things, and that's okay. That's a tool that keeps us safe. And talking about the 2 things that humans need, which are safety and novelty. And, we've really leaned into safety, right? Stay safe, be safe, a lot of scarcity thinking. And it sounds like you just, actively chose to switch the switch, whatever that is, turn that over and to focusing the energy towards more novelty, kind of a calculated risk, it sounds like.
Absolutely a calculated risk. And let's be honest, a couple of things. Number one, I am still scared. I've just chosen to focus on the fear of not living before I die, as opposed to dying. right? So I still, fear doesn't go away. It's part of being human. I'm just now terrified of not living before I die, as opposed to channeling that energy into not dying, because when, where, and how I die is largely out of my control. But how I live until that mystery moment comes is within my control. And so I choose to focus on that. And that's when I created that's when, when Dan died, was when I had this moment like, oh my God, you might die tomorrow. Like, it was a acceptance of this. It was a realization that it's outside of my control. And then that fed into, so what am I going to do? I'm going to live today. And that was when I just realized that all that death anxiety was then channeled into the realization that death is this amazing awareness of our mortality, is this amazing motivator. It raises the value of the present moment and makes every day a limited time offer. And it really set me on fire to live. And so that's what I have been sharing over the past 3 years through the movement, my art installations, my book, and just in the way that I live, truly.
Yeah. So say more about your book, your art installations. What do you do?
Yeah. So mostly I'll tell a little story, which is that I went to Plum Village. I had gone through a breakup and was just feeling very empty inside. So I went to Plum Village, which is Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery. Thich Nhat Hanh is an amazing spiritual teacher that talks a lot about the preciousness of life and the preciousness of the simple moments of being alive. And I was able to sign up for a one-on-one with one of the sisters, one of the nuns. And through this week, I had really had my light reignited through meditation and through meditation walks and my time at Plum Village. And so I was super excited because I was about to publish my book. And I just had this burning question for the sister. And that was, how can I be the best teacher of this message of you might die tomorrow, so live today, like this bearer of this, I believe, ancient secret, this ancient key to living a good life, which is being aware of and accepting our mortality. So I go up to this sister and we're like, it's this in France outside of Bordeaux in the countryside, and there's a tree and we're sitting on this bench and there's birds tweeting. And I just tell her my whole story that I just told you about the deaths and the death anxiety and how I had quit my job to travel around the world. When I realized truly that I might die tomorrow, and that now I'm writing this book to share this message with everybody. And I said, with tears on my face, I said, how can I be the best teacher of this message? And she just looked at me and she had this beaming, clear, pure face. And she smiled and she said, your life is the message. And that was not what I expected to hear. Your life is the message. Your life is the message, because this echoes in my mind now. I wanted her to tell me how to be a good teacher, or how to project my voice, or how to, appear to this as this performer in the world to share this message. And she was just saying, live your message. Live your truth in your life, and you will be the most shining beacon of what living like you might die tomorrow looks like. And so first and foremost, living my life in this way is, I believe, not only for myself, but for every single person, to enjoy our life, to be our most vibrant expression of ourselves is a huge part of our life's purpose. And so along the way, the projects that I've done I've done some art installations. I also am a painter, and I wrote the book called You Might Die Tomorrow, So Live Today. I write on this topic. I am a steward of this message. And truthfully, I'll pause here, but my message is changing a little bit. I'm starting my next book soon, which is all about the idea of cultivating a sense of aliveness in our everyday life.
Oh, exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think that really encapsulates, it's kind of meta, right? You're living your life, showing people this is, what this looks like, and really saying that's what everyone should be doing, right? Is living their life as their own message, not maybe the same message, but whatever it is, how you live your life shows people what you're about.
Well, and the only reason that I know this is because of all of the research that I've done and all of the wonderful end of life care workers that I have met over the years in doing this work. Because again, that is what has taught me how to live my life, right? Like I knew I wanted to live a good life. Like I came up with this pithy catchphrase, you might die tomorrow, so live today. But then I spent the next 5 years saying, well, what does live today look like, right? Like, oh, it sounds great. Live today, go skydiving, quit your job, blah, blah, blah. But truly what I've learned over the past 5 years about living a good life has come end of life care workers have taught me what it means to leave a good life. Well, actually that's appropriate, to live a good life and to leave a good life, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you had a chance to ever work in end of life care?
I haven't. No, I mean, I've have a lot of people that I connect with who connect with my work. And of course, I connect with their work, end of life care workers, death doulas, hospice workers, and on and on. But no, I personally have never done any of that work, but I do feel a calling for it.
Oh, that's fun. I'd like to see where that leads.
I know. Yes, actually, Hospice Austin is a wonderful organization, as most hospices and palliative care places are. But I was like ready to start volunteering right when COVID happened. They're like, oh, well, you'll just have to wait a little bit longer. I was like, okay, the timing will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to wrap up our question from before, we were just talking about, I created this movement, which is you might die tomorrow, so live today, which sounds great, right? And it is very, very powerful. But what does so live today look like? What is living a good life? And that was really when I came up with this movement and people started following it. I went on my own quest to discover, what does living a good life look like? And a huge majority of what I learned came from people who work in end of life care and people on their deathbeds or who have had terminal illness or near death experiences themselves, because they have this incredible, inhibition free, societal expectation free look into how to live a good life. And one of those, talking back to your life is the message, is I believe part of our life's journey and part of our life's purpose is to shed those layers of masks and inhibitions to be our true self. Because so many people on their deathbeds have this sense of like, oh, I held back too much. Oh, I lived to be the person that I thought people wanted me to be versus who I truly am. And so I use that as my lesson number one in my life to Kate. You got to really be you. You got to let your light shine. You got to be weird. You got to be wonderful. You got to let your freak flag fly. And that is the path to living your most full life.
I love that. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm a therapist and it's all my job is, right? Is really helping people be who they are and express themselves. And I love every bit of that because society is so tough on us, right? So many rules. And again, they're there to help keep us safe. We get that. But it might not be where the richness is, so really digging in and seeing where that takes us. Well, that is amazing. So you're doing you're kind of pivoting, but everyone should go and check out your website, become part of the team and get that dang sticker. Because I think that's so cool. I love the pictures of everybody with the sticker that says you might die tomorrow, because it kind of just tells everybody like what journey you're on. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I want to put that on a backpack, walk around.
Yes.
I don't go
backpack,
camping,
water bottle.
I don't go camping. It's in the city,
Okay, there we go.
Random people, but
bathroom mirror, right? Wake up and see it and be like, all right, that's how I'm going to live today.
Yeah. Get out there, do the thing, whatever the thing is.
Yeah, but my new project, just to segue into what you were just saying. So, I think that mortality awareness, which is something that we all, pretty much everyone listening to this podcast has some experience with. Mortality awareness or living like you might die tomorrow it's a path to living our most vibrant life, right? Like death is going to happen, right? It's largely outside of our control. But I believe that one way to harness that ability to live our most fulfilled life is to think about death. Death motivates us to stop procrastinating. It motivates us to live in the present moment. It motivates us to take calculated risks. But I also believe that you don't have to necessarily use mortality awareness to find that sense of motivation and presence. And so one thing that I'm very passionate about right now is not letting life pass us by. And this transcendent sense of aliveness that pretty much all of us have felt at some moment in our lives. Some people feel it when we're doing the dishes. Some people feel it when we are doing physical exercise or in deep conversation with someone that we care about. But I encourage you to right now, everyone listening, to think about something in your life that you do that gives you that sense of aliveness. When you forget about time, when you feel connected, when your problems seem to rise up off of your shoulders and you just feel really connected to your soul. And I want you to note what that is in your life that makes you feel alive and connect it to that sense of feeling alive, and realize that when you're doing those things, you're enjoying your life and you're maximizing your time that you have in your life. And so my current project is all about helping people cultivate that sense of aliveness for at least one moment every single day, because I don't believe that one day should pass with us still alive and kicking without having one moment where we can look around and be like, oh my God, life is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, my life is such a disaster right now, but I'm alive. And this challenge that I'm going through is a beautiful part of growth in my life. To be able to look up at the sky and notice the clouds, to feel the breath in our chest, like to have a whole day pass without even feeling that for one moment, I think is a huge loss. And so now I'm on a quest to help everybody feel alive every single day, not through necessarily skydiving or traveling, but even just, like I said, looking out the window, slowing down to enjoy those simple moments of being alive.
I love that. And let's see if this feels genuine to you. It sounds like your first attempt, right, with You Might Die Tomorrow, was a slightly more gentle way to look at your mortality than, just telling people, hey, you should know that you're going to die, right? It's kind of a funny, inviting way for people to touch that. And I love that, because I think that's so important. With so many people walking around with death anxiety, it's really hard to get people to understand that it's a useful tool, because they're just not there. They're not ready for that yet. And now it sounds like your next project is even more gentle, like this, holding both things, that we're going to die, but also, fuck, it's so beautiful outside.
I know.
Butterflies and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that they're just obviously intimately related, because I feel like having the foundation of mortality awareness and really becoming intimate with that and inviting that into our lives, like I said, that's the foundation. That gives us the ability to be free in our lives. It gives us the motivation to want to feel alive every single day. It gives us that value to the present moment that is constantly at risk. And now with, my next book will be called Enter the Kaleidoscope. And the kaleidoscope is what I call that transcendent moment. It's not just the kaleidoscope of the beauty that's around us all the time, not only outside, but in our houses, right? Like we surround ourselves with these comforts, these people, relationships, but there's also a kaleidoscope inside of us. And so while, yes, I think you are totally right? Like You Might Die Tomorrow is pretty provocative. And this idea of feeling alive is a little bit more palatable. To truly get to the point where you can feel alive every single day, it makes me cry every day. It's an overwhelming feeling, and it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to be able to not suppress that huge well of emotion and transcendence that comes from opening up to the beauty of life that's around us. And it's a challenge. I challenge all of you to open up to the beauty and wonder that's outside in your life as well as inside of you, and know that if you can cultivate that moment, even if you have to force yourself to do it a little bit every day, you're creating these neuroplastic connections in your mind that I've been cultivating this practice over 4 or 5 years now, and it just happens to me spontaneously. I can push myself into that kaleidoscope of wonder at any moment. And if I can do it, you can too. And so if you want to feel like you are on like amazing, happy joy pills, kind of like you're on mushrooms a little bit every day, completely drug-free, like follow me and I will teach you how to get there.
I'll sign up for that. Okay. Okay. So now we're all on the edge of our seats waiting for that pre-sell button to come up on your website. I'll wait for it patiently. No
It'll be a hot minute, y'all. I just started writing the book, and I really just got to the point in my work where I felt comfortable transitioning away from You Might Die Tomorrow. That's been my baby, my project for the past 5 years. And so going from really focusing in on the power of mortality awareness to transitioning now to feeling deeply alive and cultivating that transcendent experience for ourselves. It's a change, right? They're interrelated, but it is a change. And now I'm full in it, man. We're going down that road. We're going to enjoy our lives and let our freak flags fly if it's the last thing we do.
I love it. I'm here for it. Let's do this. And no pressure, but now we're all waiting. You made that sound really good.
Yeah. I don't have any passion about this topic at all. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So we got a little bit into your hopes. We can see what you're building for the future. What have the challenges been for being this artist and author, kind of being provocative and pushing this limit?
Well, as everyone listening who works in end of life care knows, talking about death is still really challenging, and especially a provocative phrase like "you might die tomorrow." It's been an uphill battle for sure. It's been an uphill battle to get people to open up to it, to listen to it, and to bring it into consciousness. But thanks to the work that everyone here is doing, including you, Mitzi, right? Like we are creating this shift, this paradigm shift right now. People are opening their mind. And to be honest, we've all gone through a near-death experience now with COVID, right? Whether you contracted COVID or not, at some point, it's probably crossed your mind, I could die from this. And it's this prevalent pandemic. And so we can share in that near-death experience that we've had, and we can cultivate from that the benefits of mortality awareness, and it has gotten easier, is what I'm trying to say. Is from when I started this project 5 or 6 years ago until now, people are much more open to talking about mortality, to realizing that life can be really beautiful when you invite death in, and so now, my passion is helping people feel alive with that awareness of mortality. And so it's a whole new challenge, right? Because now I'm trying to rewire everyone's brains for transcendent experiences and brave, vibrant living.
You sound like you're up for a challenge.
Let's do it.
Challenge, sign me up. Okay.
Yeah. It's really good. And I'll just continue by saying that Thich Nhat Hanh's work has been very important for me, because I want, what death has taught me is that I want to live all of life, right? And there's this amazing song, Everlong, by the Foo Fighters. I encourage you to listen to it. But the chorus of that song is all about like, don't stop when I say when. If everything could ever be this real forever, please don't stop when I say when. And so my journey has been going from this very positive person talking about mortality to now realizing that if I want all of life and I want to be open to all of life and live my most vibrant life, that means I have to accept pain. I have to love my pain. I have to accept death. I have to love death. And so the journey that I've also been on, and is an intimate part of the conversation about feeling alive, is feeling alive isn't about just this amazing psychedelic experience. It's about seeing your aliveness in your struggle, seeing your aliveness in pain, and knowing that it's all part of this beautiful life path that we're on, that ultimately results in mortality, but that every moment is precious, whether it is joy on top of a mountain, jumping out of an airplane, drinking your tea, or crying on the couch because things just hurt.
Yeah. And accepting each one of those experiences is for what they are. right? Being alive.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. My 3 A's are, I want to be fully awake, I want to be fully aware, and I want to be fully alive. And so that's what I keep in my mind is awake, alive, and aware.
Wow. Does that come to you, as you're on your daily experiences? Is that kind of what you come back to? Is it kind of a mantra or meditation or your call?
It is. And I must love A's. I'm just realizing this right now. But in my book, I talk about how the 3 main responses to death are anxiety, apathy, or action. So I didn't realize I have 2 sets of A's, but I do. And so, right. Like if you're thinking about death, that fear of death or mortality awareness, you can respond with anxiety, fear, which was what we did, right? I was in deep anxiety for a year. You can respond with apathy, which is nihilism, nothing matters, like whatever, we're going to die, I don't care. Or you can respond with action, which is channeling that energy toward living your most vibrant life. And so both of those, like, wanting to live awake, alive, and aware, and realizing that I have a choice with what I do with my time and energy, which is responding with anxiety, apathy, or action. Those 2 things I think help keep me balanced and just like, A plus, A's everywhere. And the second 3 A's, sorry, one last thing. The second 3 A's, the awake, alive, and aware, you can put those in any order you want. Those actually came to me when a year and a half ago, I decided to stop drinking alcohol. I decided that, like, again, this is me on this path to wanting to be fully alive. And I realized that, wasting, I drank too much for sure, but wasting that percentage of my life, 30%, whatever percent it was that I was spent drinking, anesthetized, forgetting things, dulled, dimmed, that was not living fully alive for me. And so whether it be accepting my pain or choosing to live a sober life, to me, those are all funneling up to my cardinal value in life, which is living fully alive.
Wow. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's an important piece. Really. I think a lot of people will hear that and connect with it, honestly. Okay. So where can people find you?
I am on all the things. You can go to my website, and if you scroll to the bottom of my website, you can get a free sticker that I will personally send to you in a snail mail with a cute stamp. But I want everyone to have one of these stickers and place it somewhere that will remind you that life is short, that the time to start living is this moment in the beautiful palm of our hands. So yeah, go to my website and follow me on Instagram or Facebook. On both of those, you can find me by searching Kate Manser or You Might Die Tomorrow. And then my book is on everywhere books are sold online. And keep bothering me about the Enter the Kaleidoscope book. It'll be my motivation to keep writing.
Did you hear that, everyone? Okay. We could get our way and have that book in our hands. Okay. Yeah. Everyone grab that book. Follow Kate on everything. And Kate, I just want to thank you for being here and giving your time and sharing your beautiful van. For anyone watching the video on YouTube, you can see her awesome van. If you're listening to the podcast, you should check on over because you get to see the cute puppy and everything else. Yeah. So I highly recommend that.
Pajamas.
Oh,
Pajamas, the dog.
And so well behaved and didn't interrupt our podcast one bit.
Oh yeah. She's like a cat, she's just...
Thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Dead Funny, Dead Serious. If you like this, please share and like this video. It helps us get out to more people and share this message. Thanks again, Kate, and we will see everyone in the next episode. All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Make the memories that will